shows on the air. Hey, it's
Blog Talk Radio.
Thank you. I'll be right back.
Welcome to the War Room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commander. Give it to you how you want it in a 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sort of
Okay, I'll be right back, buddy. I gotta find somebody to help me in the show starting right now.
Sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the War Room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys, diversified and educated.
That's right, you heard him. Diversified and educated. What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to the War Room. Brought to you by War Room Sports on the WRS Podcast Network. I'm Jimmy the Blueprint, and I'm back at you with my brother B. Austin. We have a great show for you today, as always. You know, we want to talk some college basketball national champions. Shout out to the Duke Blue Devils, because they have been crowned. Major League Baseball is underway. The NBA final stretch is playing out and much more. So get your popcorn, buckle up, keep it locked. And if you want to get in on the conversation, don't forget there's the JW Philly Realty chat room, which you can find at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter. That's at War Room Sports. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech hotline at 323-410-0012. Just hit us up and let us know you want to speak, and we'll bring you on to, chop it up. Before we get started, though, this is what we need you to do. When we're not live on the air, you can listen to our show and a lot of great shows on the WRS Podcast Network. Visit warroomsports.com and click on the WRS Podcast Network tab, or listen to the War Room Sports mobile app, or just go to iTunes, look up War Room Sports Podcast Network. You'll find some of the best talk shows on the web, such as the Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review. Also, Tissue and a Tape podcast, you'll Phil and Savad, who joined me last week. We got Sports Trap Radio. We also have a lot more shows, NASCAR, soccer, whatever you name, we have it on that network. Hip hop, sports, culture. That's what we do. You can also check out the listings for all of our sports shows on Fats Radio. That's PHATZRADIO.com. Like we always say, man, we have some of the best entertainment. So while you're in the gym or while you're sitting at work behind the desk, listen to some great talk shows. What's going on, brother?
What up, what up?
Man,
What's good, Aki?
What's good, man? I know Dev's here for a second. He's about to depart, man. He's going to give a shout out to everybody, man. B. Austin in the building.
I just got off a 5-hour flight. I'm about to die.
Yeah, he on that. Dev be traveling the world on this James Bond job, but we're gonna hold it down. We're gonna hold it down. My brother B. Austin is finally in the building. Gets wrong with him, but it is what it is, man.
All right.
Yeah, man. So how y'all brothers doing? I know just getting back, but how's y'all week going?
It was pretty good, out there in the Bay Area doing our sports thing, sitting at baseball games, freezing in the name of War Room Sports, but that's what we do.
What games you taking while you was out west?
The Oakland A's losing to the Texas Rangers. Everybody else wasn't in town for games, but we still do business even if they're not in town. But the Warriors weren't in town. San Francisco Giants weren't in town. The Warriors actually are there tonight. Of course, the day that I leave, the Warriors are back in town. That's what I really wanted to see. But
before you roll out, let me ask you a question. Before you roll out, because I know that the homie Savad will be listening to this, and I know it's mad early. It's like 6 million games left to play, but just watching the A's play, they did lose the game. Can you even say anything? I know it's mad early, man, but sometimes when the team is good from the rip.
No, that's what I'm saying. Nah, son. Like I know it's the first 2 games of the season, but I mean we kind of thought when he made that prediction of the A's taking that division that it was a little bit of a stretch, and so far it's looking like a stretch. But it's 2 games, and they play 160 million games in baseball, so you never know what's going to happen. But they didn't look strong. They didn't look too strong.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, man. I just got the plane or whatever. Me and B. Austin go hold it down, chop up, talk sports, entertainment, everything that we do. You know what I'm saying? So,
All right,
get him out of here.
WRS. Holla.
Let's go. B. Austin, what's up with you, good brother?
Hey, man, I'm just fresh back from Guadalupe. I was out there. For those of you who don't know, that I moonlight as a scout for naked women's basketball, female midget basketball. And we had a couple of prospects out there in Guadalupe. I had to fly out there for a week, take in a couple of games, drink some rum, lay out on the beach, and just collect my thoughts and, you know, get back to it. So shout out to Guadalupe. And,
Yo, for those who don't know, he often takes all his own photos for his Tumblr page. So if you ever go to his Tumblr page and you see the beautiful chocolate women, that's he often takes those photos himself, and he travels the world to do so.
In the name of art. Oh,
in the name of art. Man, listen, man, let's jump into these topics, man. Let's talk about what happened while everybody was on the grind. And for those who don't know, Why You Were on the Grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including the NFL Sunday Ticket, go to our website at warroomsports.com. Click on that DirecTV logo and order a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have DirecTV. Baseball has started, and DirecTV does have the baseball package. Football's coming up, and they are the only one with the football package. The football is like, 24/7, 365 these days. Anyway, let's talk about what happened while everybody was on the grind this week. First story, B. Austin. Indiana Pacers forward Chris Copeland he got hit with the Hawk and stabbed up in a New York club. Him and a couple of other ladies were stabbed up after an argument in the club. Yeah, he got a $150, man. Yeah, so what do you think about this story, man?
Well, let's just jump into the story a little bit. I don't know if you had the details, but Chris Copeland was out with his wife at 4 a.m. in the club. I don't know who takes their wife to the club and leaves at 4 a.m. I got things to do with her long before 4 a.m. But he was still in the club at 4 a.m. with his whiz, and he was in some sort of argument with a 22-year-old Richard Head, who then pulled a Hawk out and proceeded to slash Chris Copeland and his wife multiple times. And in his zeal and zest in use of the Hawk, he actually slashed his girlfriend. So the perpetrator not only slashed Chris Copeland and his wife, but then missed one of the times he missed and hit his own girl, and slashed her up.
That's so wild. That sounds like a verse from Jay Hood or something, man.
The story doesn't end.
Okay.
Thabo Cephalosha and another dickhead from the Atlanta Hawks were in the club at the time, and when police got there to chalk out the crime scene, these two Richard Heads refused to move. I guess in some show of defiance or whatever. So they ended up getting arrested for obstructing and impeding the police. You can always tell a suburbanite. A suburban dude doesn't understand the protocols when the boys show up. If there's no reason to cause the boys to get involved with you or throw shade your way, you don't. It's called professional courtesy. Like, look, you ain't hassling me. I'm not hassling you. Now, if you hassling me, then, we could have a problem. You put your hands on me wrong, I'm going to, probably put my hands on you back and end up getting shot and treated like all the other black men. But we'll get into narchery a little later. We'll get into that a little later. But these two dudes just refused to move for whatever reason. So they ended up being arrested and having to stay the night in the tank, and just got arraigned this morning, I believe it was, or yesterday morning.
The whole night is an epic fail for everybody. Chris Copeland getting poked up. The ball going buck wild, living out a D block verse, stabbing everybody, including his own people. Then the jabronis who want to get arrested for no reason, just want to be defiant and rebellious, like with no real cause. I mean, everybody in this story at this point gets a joke. B. Austin, here's my thing, man. And
Switzerland.
I don't even understand.
Switzerland. They're not gangster in Switzerland.
Yo, but I just don't understand the point of that. Like, what are you proving? Like, I don't know whether you think that it'll make you look tough because you stood up to the police. It's like a time and place for everything. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, man. I just don't get that.
That was not
In the
the
words
time.
of the great philosopher Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother, man, nothing good comes after 2 a.m. So even if you're trying to get with a chick by 2 a.m., if you ain't do it, then like nothing good comes after 2 a.m., man.
I would have to disagree. A lot of good things have happened to me between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.
But yeah, my thing is, if that is the case, then you could have already started those festivities before 2 a.m. If it takes you to 2 a.m. to GTD, as Tommy would say from Martin, to GTD, then that's another issue. But all I'm saying is, man, like these guys are NBA players, so not only do they represent themselves, they represent the Pacers, they represent the league, and you out there just acting a fool. Now, I don't want to just say you're acting a fool because you got poked up, but first of all, you got to learn that these young boys, they don't care. They don't care. Like, it's a whole different generation right now. Like it's certain people who are just complete Stanleys, pom-poms, and they worship celebrity. But when you get into certain elements, they don't care who you are. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they don't care if you they will put the hawk on the president and not think twice about it.
Yo,
that
smart. Young man is about to do a lot of time. He's about to.
Yo, my man hit his own chick with the hawk. Like, what's wrong with you?
He's going to catch about 5 cases of or counts of aggravated assault. Like, they really going to hit him with that work.
Shout out to the Sage of Sports in the chat room. He said nothing good happened after 1 a.m. He took it an hour before my Ted Mosby theory, man. But I actually stole that theory from a TV show. But same point.
He tripping. He don't be yam farm. Yam farming occurs at night. Like, you can't yam farm during the. Well, you can.
But the great yam farmers, they plant their seeds so early that by 2 a.m. they already done. You dig what I'm saying? Anyway, we get into that another time. We get into the sport of yam farming.
That's a whole nother top. Yo, man, see us on a few good minutes with the general, and we'll break down yam farming.
The sport of yam farming.
We got to talk about Russell Westbrook, man. Go ahead, talk about.
Let's talk about Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook, he gave his All-Star Game MVP card to a single mother of 2 children. She thought it was a joke, and he gave her the keys. He did a good deed. This was good to see, man, because she definitely appreciated this video and photos of this whole event. And, she was struggling borrowing cars. She's trying to make ends meet, raising 2 kids by herself. She had car issues, and, he found out. I guess he didn't want the kid. That's a joke. But no, he definitely did a good deed, man. And as many times as we report nonsense and all that, it always feels good to find a story where there's actually someone just doing a good deed. Because a lot of these guys in these different leagues, are good people. It's just that they're overshadowed by the idiots. So shout out to Russell Westbrook. I like everything about it, from the way he plays, the attitude. I just don't like the way he dresses, but that's a whole nother story. B. Austin, what's your thoughts?
You know where I'm going with it. Man, that's nothing but a tax benefit. He didn't want to pay taxes on that prize. Yo, prizes.
So you gotta make it. You gotta take it there. You can't get a man. It doesn't matter, man. He still gave.
Man,
giving is all that matters, man.
Man, it was a kid. If Benz had gave him an S class, I'd have patted him on the back. But that was a kid. He didn't want that job, man. Only LeBron drives kids.
Doesn't matter, man. LeBron gets paid to drive kids, but it doesn't.
He probably gave it up because LeBron is the sponsor.
I would believe that. I actually believe that because that's the kind of dude he is. But what I'm saying is,
that's the type of dude.
Regardless of
that's why I respect him.
Regardless of if it's a kid or not, man, it's still an honorable thing to give. Like, just because let's just say you're a billionaire, even if you give $1,000, it doesn't. It's funny when people say, "Dang, you could have gave more." Like, you don't have to give anything. So, anything that you give to someone in need is a blessing, because we can sit there and clown him about as a kid and all that, but she was definitely appreciative for someone who doesn't have, you know what I mean? So I want to give him a shout out. I'm not even going to flip this onto the whole it's a kid thing and all that. You know what I mean?
Give me a kid, I'm gonna give it back.
I mean, that's another thing though. I mean, you get money. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, next story. Let's talk about the Morris twins from the crib.
Oh man, I'm robbing.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, man. But listen, they had a mentor.
Wait, hold on. Before you go into this, why is it whenever we talk about our city, it's got to be some nut mess, man? Go ahead, man.
Listen, man. A gentleman, Eric Hood. Eric Hood actually used to play hoops with Dev, but he went to the legendary Simon Gratz. But anyway, he was like an old head in the hood, the mentor to the Morris twins. And he allegedly slept with their mom. So they felt some type of way about it. Stop, man. They felt some type of way about it. And as we say in Philly, man, they rolled on the bull. So what do you think about the Morris twins being both professional athletes in the National Basketball Association, like catching feelings about somebody smashing their mom and basically dipping on them?
In the words of the great Jason Phillips, I'm speaking to you, Mr. Hood. I know you seen me in and out of your mom's house, but it ain't no way that she could have a baby out of her mouth. I believe this is a difficult understanding the mentality of gentlemen that come from that area of the world and that particular geography and those particular circumstances. I can understand how if an old head who's not really, really, truly an old head is going at your mom, how, he could get slid. But there's a time and a place, and the way that they handled it, if you read the accounting of the situation in the story, they really, really took it back to North Philadelphia. I mean, first of all, they set him up. They had one bull talking to him out in the parking lot. And then out of the clear blue from behind, somebody hit him in the back of the head very hard. He staggered and stumbled off, fell down. And then they proceeded to give him the ass whooping of his life, stomping on him, kicking him, all types of beating him down. And then they had somebody pull up real fast in the Rolls Royce Phantom. And then all four jumped in the Rolls Royce Phantom and dipped off. The next day, the officers of the law showed up and asked and questioned them, and they vehemently denied knowing him or participating in the NAS whooping. The problem is you two are 6'7" and 6'9", and you're twins. How do you deny? You can't. You fit the description, and usually that means just any random black dude is guilty. But no, guys, you literally fit the description. You can't hide. You can't participate in an ass whooping in a public place in the parking lot of a shopping mall around hundreds of people and think you're going to get away with it. But oh no, not only are you 6'9" and black and in the NBA, your getaway car is $350,000.
But wait, it gets worse.
But wait, it gets worse. Yo, man, that's all I got on the story. They tripping.
Listen, man, they acted off emotion, man. They need to read the 48 Laws of Power, man. You can't just act off emotion like that, man. You. I mean,
I get it.
For one?
I get it. I get it,
Jimmy.
Too. He's running pipe up in my mom. He's running pipe in my mom.
I understand that, but there's ways you handle even that. Is this going to stop him from running pipe in your mom? Probably not. And even beyond that, now he can get some sympathy.
Your mom probably like your mom.
You know what I'm saying? And now y'all gonna have to pay him. So he gonna be taking your mom out, to get some Cheddar Bay biscuits with your money. And still piping her down.
He gonna take and use your money to take your mom out. Wow. Oh man.
Yo, what is wrong with these
y'all
dudes,
y'all definitely didn't think about that one. I definitely see the league coming down pretty rough on this one once it's finally all sorted out. The best.
How you gonna skate off in the Phantom though?
The getaway car was $380,000.
Yo, come on, cuz. Yo.
You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry yourself.
Yeah, man. They definitely gotta be ashamed of themselves, man. That's ridiculous. Anyway, man. Let's talk about a new national sport of archery. Well, this is also sports related because the Ole Miss, his football player, stepdad, Walter Scott, was the man shot in the back and killed in South Carolina. You know, we consider this a new sport in America. It's called archery. It's like archery where they never mind. But anyway, you can figure it out if you're smart enough. You can figure it out. But archery is a new Olympic sport.
We're gonna get real gritty with it. Listen, archery is NIGG, and you can finish the rest. Archery, in which it's a sport. It's sport hunting, where a police officer, typically a white police officer, but it doesn't have to be just a white police officer. It can be a police officer of almost any race, is basically going hunting for the rarest of prey, a black male of any age. He can be, 10 years old. He can be 80 years old, and you get points. Basically, if you hit him and he lives, you get a certain amount of points. But if you hit him and he dies, you get another amount of points. And then the ultimate prize is if you're able to kill the young man or gentleman of African American descent and be arraigned, but be able to get off. That's another set of points. And then the ultimate point, which this gentleman, what's his name? What's the officer's name? He's going for the ultimate point, because the more money that you raise for your legal defense fund, that's also points. So this gentleman has a legal defense fund. There are a number of people of varying backgrounds with typically one underlying unifying theme, which is they're white, but a number of folks that are raising and contributing to his defense fund.
This comes up a lot over the last couple of years. Not that it's just started, and that's the crazy part. Like we know this happens. It's sort of like, I remember when Rodney King happened, everybody was in shock, and we like, oh, that's just like a Wednesday in the hood. Like, we know this happens. But now with these cell phone cameras and people being exposed, it's like, sometimes it gives some people shock, but a lot of us know that this goes on. But the most interesting thing about this to me is, like, there's still a debate whether he'll be found guilty or not. Like, how is it that you're caught on camera planting evidence, letting the blicker go, and we're still debating whether or not you'll be found guilty?
Oh, wait. See, but you got to give the folks the backstory. See, you went deep into it. You went into the recording of it. You went into the other officer planting evidence. You got to give the people the backstory. Explain exactly what happened. They stopped him for a taillight, which, by the way, is an illegal stop, because it's not illegal in either of the Carolinas, north or south, to have one taillight out. So he said the officer reported that he stopped the gentleman because he had a taillight out. So there, right now, you have an illegal stoppage, and somehow pulled him out of the vehicle in broad daylight. He claims that the gentleman got enraged. Walter Scott is the victim and deceased name. May he rest in power.
R.I.P.
He claims that he got enraged and attacked the officer and ran at him for his taser and his gun. And then somehow the officer, they got him down, they got him on the ground. He tased him basically to get him to the ground. Then the gentleman got up and ran. The police officer, who I probably will never speak his name, the police officer then raised his weapon, unsheathed it, raised it, and calmly put 8 slugs into this gentleman's back as he was running away. 8 times, shot him in the back. Yeah. Then the other officer, his partner in crime, who was an African American officer, ran up and placed something by his body. And that's where it really gets funny, because some people interpret that as that officer is trying to help the victim. Other people interpret that as the officer trying to place evidence to support his fellow brother in blue. I don't know. I have no idea. The film looks funny, but thank God, in all of this sad situation, this heinous and terrible situation, someone was recorded the entire situation. And so now, this young man from South. Yeah.
If this
If it wasn't
filmed,
filmed,
this
he's
would've been
getting
back
on
already.
all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're still debating whether or not he will, that's the most amazing thing to me. Like that. And then when I see his partner come up and do that, I start to wonder, like, I wonder how many people they've done this to that haven't been recorded. Because now, even if it's not true, you want to start hearing more stories. You know what I mean? People are going to use this,
My whole thing with this though, Jimmy, is I like to take what I call taking the temperature and reading the barometric pressure of society. So I like to read the responses of the varying segments of society. So obviously, in the Black community, you've got a number of responses, mostly indignation, rage, anger, sadness, whatever. Some are even a little desensitized. They're used to it. The victim's brother came out and said he doesn't know whether it was racially motivated, but he does believe that his brother feared for his life and was trying to get away. So this goes back to my whole thing where African American people have a tendency to be apologetic for their very existence. Here you've got a brother that's grieving, that's lost his flesh and blood, his actual brother, and he's still sort of giving the perpetrator
the benefit of the doubt
by saying, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether it was racially. I mean, dude, I don't have anything to say to that because I feel as though you're grieving, so you got to leave him alone. But that's also a sentiment in the community. We apologize for even setting foot on green grass sometimes. Then you've got the other side. You got the other side, real quick. You got the other side, which is we've got to raise money to help defend this guy because he was just doing his job. Are you serious? That's what you believe? Gotta love America. Gotta love it.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where that's part of what privilege is. A lot of people say, well, there's no such thing as white privilege. No, privilege exists. And a lot of times, I'm not even saying this with any malice because it's just a fact of life. Like, we are very apologetic as a people. And even beyond that, like, I guarantee you the African-American officer won't get the same benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Because there's just certain privilege, and that's part of it. So it's a sad story altogether. The player from Ole Miss, he said it was a stepfather. And, there's so many storylines that can come from this. I saw the Time magazine cover, and this is just sad. Like, when I saw this video, I was like, and the thing is, this happens, but still to see it on video, it's like, come on, man. Like, what excuse can you have? Like, what excuse can you have? This dude is running away. Like, there's no reason. Yeah. Even if you did some of the things you say at this point, like, are you in fear for your life if someone's running away from you?
Yeah. What is the excuse or reason to shoot to center mass 8 times of someone whose back is turned to you and he's running away? Like, there's no, like, even like, you could go through a litany of reasons and logic to say, okay, he's running away from me, so he's in some case, quote unquote, resisting arrest. All right, shoot his ankles, shoot his knee, shoot his hip. You shot to center mass, which means you had the intention of killing this person, of committing murder 8 times. So here we are yet again, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner, going all the way back, Amadou Diallo. Hell, you can go back to Emmett Till if you'd like. But here we are again. And it seems like every month.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. Do you think that as a country, as a whole, do you think we're becoming desensitized to this because it is every month? Because at this point, I see some people like, same thing again.
Great.
And then that's
it.
Yeah,
great. No. You know what? That's a great question. And that's probably the most scary question to ask and actually answer, because if we are becoming desensitized to it and it's becoming the new norm, then again, I ask the question that it always boils down to with me being a little bit selfish as a Black man raising Black children. What world am I sending my son and daughter into? Because if we are becoming desensitized to it and this is the new norm, There's nothing being done to change it. I think as a people, society, it's like we're no longer really tapped into a revolutionary chord. Like there was a time when the people in this country would hold certain folks accountable for actions. Even if you want to say it was white folks would hold others accountable. Now, if it doesn't affect our paycheck or our immediate life, we don't care. We don't care. So yeah, good question.
That's
Sad question.
Yeah.
Well, we
It's
gotta move
definitely
on,
sad.
man. We gotta
We definitely do, man, because we didn't change the whole temperature of this show, man. But it's definitely a sad question, man. Let's give some birthday shout outs. After that, we're gonna tell people how to get in touch with us. We do have a caller on the line. Hold on for 1 second, caller. Let's get these shout outs and we'll get you on to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. But let's just see what's going on in terms of these birthdays, because there are some great birthdays today. So for those who don't know, the birthdays are brought to you by Digital Extreme Technologies. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence, top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. And if you don't have it all, guess what? Financing options are available. Visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203 and be sure to tell them that War Room Sports sent you. It's time to give some birthday shout-outs.
My birthday, yay!
First birthday, arguably the best pitcher in baseball. King Felix Hernandez turns 29. Veteran NBA point guard, retired out from the Portland Trail Blazers, back with those amazing Trailblazer teams in the 90s that just couldn't get past the Bulls. Terry Porter turns 52. The legend Jim Lampley turns 66. Also, rest in peace, shout out to Earl Curly Lambeau. Also, Phil Maddock from Tissue and the Tape, the homie. It's his birthday, so birthday salute to you, homie. And also want to send a rest in peace to Stan Hochman, the great writer from the Philadelphia Daily News, just passed this afternoon. So definitely want to send a rest in power shout out to him. Like I said, caller will be right with you. Those are the birthday shout outs. All right, so let's just get into how to get in touch with us. Check out our website, warrumsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our company newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send a message to us about our company, our show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, email us at info@warrumsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the Memorabilia tab to buy some War Room Sports merchandise. Click on the Blog tab to read our latest sports articles in the All's Fair and Sports and War blog. Then click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter. Check us out on Instagram. Subscribe to our iTunes podcast, Tumblr, everything. You can watch our webcast at War Room Sports TV. Listen to the War Room Sports Podcast Network. All of those tabs are on warroomsports.com. And to download our free War Room Sports mobile app, you can click on that logo as well. That's iTunes as well as Android. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to create an account, you can sign in through your Facebook or Twitter accounts. And while you're at it, click follow to get updates and reminders about our show. We'll be taking questions and reading posts on Facebook, Twitter, and live from the chat room during the show. To speak with us, remember, call the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline. That's 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1. Man, there's a lot of great topics to talk about in the world of sports this past week. Let me just get to the caller who wants to talk about the draft. This is Nacho calling in from Phoenix. He wants to talk about the draft. Before we jump into these hot topics, let's get Nacho on real quick. Nacho, how are you?
I'm doing great. How y'all doing today?
Pretty good, Nacho. You want to talk about the draft? What's on your mind about this draft coming up?
You know, it's pretty interesting, and with the recent, news breakings about Randy Gregory and other draft picks and how they might be sliding in, and Jameis Winston and the off-the-field issues he's got going on, it's my belief that the Bucs won't pick him number one, leaving a whirlwind of questions and the Tennessee Titans staring at Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota and possibly the phone ringing off the hook for the next 10 minutes of their draft pick. So if that's the case in which the Bucks decide to use that pick on Leonard Williams, which I believe they'll do, and now you've got the Tennessee Titans staring at, two quarterbacks and like I said, the phone ringing. How do you feel that they would go about that situation? Do you think that the Tennessee Titans front office is equipped to handle something like that?
That's a great question. But here's a question I have for you. Do you think that the Bucks should stay put, or should they trade out if they're not considering and drafting Winston? Should they move and get picks themselves?
No, you just take Leonard Williams and you move on with probably the best I think he's the best prospect in this draft, and he's going to help them out tremendously on a defense that's already great, especially a front seven. In my opinion, that's one of the best. Towards the end of the year, they had two of their front seven injured and had to sit, so we didn't really get to see them play at full power. So I do think if you add Leonard Williams to it, then you just take it and move on and move forward.
But the issue is on the offensive side of the ball, they still have so many issues, and even quarterback. Because you just said yourself, the defense is good as is. Leonard Williams would add to that defense, but the defense is already good. They have issues on the other side of the ball. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. It looks like they need to solve more on offense than they do defense.
The thing about trading, though, to me is that you got to find someone willing to go up to number one. I mean, number two is a leap in itself, but number one is just so great of a leap for anyone.
It's hard to put
That's true.
Put a trade partner together that's willing to give up, the rest of their life and the rest of the organization's life for like 20 years is a little difficult. And what I mean by that is you're probably going to end up giving up at least 2 first rounders, a number of second rounders, and a plethora of third or fourth or fifth. So it would be interesting to try and put together a trade partner for that. Mm-hmm. My thoughts.
What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that the only teams that would possibly be in the discussion would be New Orleans or Cleveland, and then you have to take New Orleans out because they don't need a quarterback. So then all you're looking at right now is Cleveland with 2 first-round picks and a plethora of other picks in this year's draft that could possibly take the brunt load of what you would have to use to trade, maybe something next year along with something else. But if you can get with those 2 first-rounders this year, that's a lot of leverage, and maybe them as a possibility with them and the rumblings of Mariota, but you would have to convince them that 2, 3, and 4 are going to take Mariota for them to jump all of them.
Yeah. They're looking at Mariota and they feel that he'll fall there. And here's the other thing: I personally like Jameis Winston, and I think that he will be a very good NFL quarterback. But overall, I don't see anyone in this draft worth moving to the number 1 pick to take a quarterback for. There's no Jameis is good, but he's not Andrew Luck good. He's not, all world good. I just think he's a very good, and that's it. And then there's a fall off. So for me, I stop it at Jameis Winston because I don't like anybody else after him. So, I don't think there's anybody in the draft worth moving to number 1 for.
And that's why I think Tampa Bay is safe taking Leonard Williams 1, and then in the second round with that first pick, you can take Bryce Petty or Grayson out of Colorado State, and then now you've got your offense running with a good quarterback, and you've got a defense where your offense is going to be having to play a game where it's 1st to 14 wins. Great point. Great point. Look at doing something in the later rounds. Listen, man, we appreciate your call. Appreciate your support, man. Thanks. Keep listening in. We'll talk a little bit more. NFL later on in the show, and we'd love to have you back on accordingly. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Nacho. Yeah, man. That's a great point. Finding someone to pay that ransom, so to speak, to trade up is going to be difficult. Shout out to the Redskins. But B. Austin, let's jump into some hot topics, good brother. And the hot topics are brought to you by Audible. If your schedule is too hectic to read as much as you want, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do the reading for you. All you have to do is visit Audible, and you can do that by going to audibletrial.com/warroomsports in no time, you can have someone reading the book to you. Audible is an amazing service that I'm using now. I'm reading a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman, and it's about someone going to third world countries, and this is based on a true story, creating conflict to change the economy here and abroad. But that's either here nor there. Enough of my conspiracy theories.
Yo, man, shout out to the De Beers family.
The hot topics. Before we jump into some sports topics, I definitely want to give a couple shout outs. And that's congrats to Ruben Gaines. He won our War Room Sports March Madness bracket. My bracket was busted because of those bums Villanova. Also, congrats to Armin Gold, who won the War Room Sports NBA Fantasy League. Armin was competing in the actual March Madness. He almost pulled off both, but he did win the Fantasy League. So shout out to both of those gentlemen. And you definitely will get your prize this week because, we pay out prizes for those things. B. Austin, let's do a quick Final Four recap. We all know in the finals that Duke beat Wisconsin for the title. What did you think about the game overall? And then we'll get into, some thoughts about after the game. What do you think about the actual game?
I think that college basketball, as with all basketball, is sliding towards the abyss and will soon be in a long-lost pit of the unfortunate. Why do I say that about this game? Wisconsin had that game. I don't want to say had it in hand, but Duke didn't have an answer for what they were doing. And for 32 minutes of that game, Wisconsin was handling Duke. Mm-hmm. Duke put together a pretty emotional run. And as with all young boys in basketball who are not taught the fundamentals, highly skilled, highly athletic, they deviated from a plan that was getting them easy shots, putting Duke on the ropes, and giving Okafor problems, which was utilizing the big boy Kaminsky and his tremendous footwork with that one spin move that he has.
Yeah, my man got one move, but it always works.
He was killing, and definitely for all you bigs out there in high school and AAU, turn on the Kaminsky tape. Look at my man's footwork and his move. He's not athletic. He can't jump over a nickel, but man, he was killing with that with the footwork. And it's not just that one spin that he goes to 90% of the time. He has a counter spin to that as well that works. But they went away from it. And Duke, man, shout out to Grayson, what's the kid, the freshman kid?
Oh, you talking about? We call him. We talking about White Bubba Chuck, number 3.
Yeah, White Bubba Chuck, number 3. He was killing, and you know why I really respect and appreciate his game is he was not settling for jumpers, man. He hit 1 3, and the rest he was going to the rack. He was going to the rack. That's why we started calling him
White Bubba Chuck, because he was out there looking like AI back in high school days.
Put a little hole into it, not real fancy, and just get to the cup.
He saved that game for them.
Yeah, he did. He saved that game for Duke. Okafor is definitely going to be, a top 5 pick. But he didn't show up.
Well, he was in foul trouble, so he didn't even play.
He was in foul trouble. Yeah, he was in foul trouble. And even Duke, they've got a Duke basketball player number 12. I like to call him Justice. I think his last name is. He's kind of a utility guy. He's a do everything. Not sure if he's a 3 or a 4. Plays tough D. Can score for you a little bit. Make some dumb, boneheaded plays at times as well. But he also laid it all out on the line for them. But they take a lot of jumpers, a lot of ill-advised jumpers. And it feels like their offense isn't set up to get easy shots.
Well, that's the thing. Most of their offense runs through Okafor. When he's not in the game, things change.
So he's not in the game. Right.
But here's the thing, though. To your point about Wisconsin, watching this tournament has been interesting because you had several blowouts earlier in the tournament. You had a lot of close games. What I noticed about the close games is teams that stick to the script usually win. And we all know that pressure busts pipes. We watched the Notre Dame game. They gave Kentucky everything they wanted. And then it got to the end of the game. The pressure built up, and they started playing hero ball. And you saw this in a couple different games. this game, you're right. They had Duke down by 9 at one point in the second half, and that's when White Bubba Chuck came in and just was like, "Yo, I got nothing to lose. I want more playing time," and he will be the man next year. So he started going to the hole, bringing them back, and you saw Wisconsin.
How much yamage did he get off of that one performance, man?
Oh yeah,
tell me what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, he went back, laying the murder game down. We all know that, but it's just amazing because Wisconsin, through most of that game, seemed to be in control, and their offense was like a well-oiled machine. The way they just like the motion, the pick and rolls, everything was crisp, and I was like, man, I was so impressed. And as the game kept coming on, and Duke just wouldn't go away. So shout out to them for the perseverance, and their guard play was just through the roof. They would not let the team die. Like the young boy out there who looked like Evan Ross, who ended up winning the MVP. He was going ballistic. He just was keeping him in the game.
Yo, so is it me or does Wisconsin only have one guard?
Yo, it's funny though because it felt like watching a boxing match, right? Where you see someone dominate a fight, but the other person just won't go away, and that person that just won't go away, like at the end, it just pulls it out somehow. Sort of like a old Arturo Gatti fights, where he would take a beating the entire fight, but he just wouldn't go away. So he won a lot of fights by just like the perseverance. Like Duke showed heart, and you got to give him that because not only did Okafor get in foul trouble, but their second best player, who you mentioned, number 12, he was in foul trouble as well. And the guys stepped up. Like Coach K had a lot of guys step up, and so they won the title deservingly. So shout out to Coach K, who after the game talks about how he enjoys listening to Meek Mill. But that makes 5 titles for Coach K.
Can we talk about Kentucky and the overrated ass Harrison?
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing, because last time that we were on last week, none of the games were played. So we do know that Duke got there by beating Michigan State. My quick opinion of that is Michigan State didn't lose because Michigan State, I don't even know how they made it to the Final Four. Their coach is amazing because he may have one pro at the most on that team, and to get them all the way to the Final Four and to play as hard as they did throughout the tournament, like I didn't expect them to make it this far. The other game, Kentucky-Wisconsin, was an amazing game. I know you had some thoughts on the Harrison twins, but before you make those thoughts, I want to let you know something I just read. 7 players from Kentucky have put their name into the NBA draft. Now, mind you, you can only start 5 players in an NBA game. How do you have 7 players enter the draft? But that's just what happened to Kentucky.
Yeah, they bench is going to turn pro. Their bigs, as well as their wing Lyles, are respectable. They are going to be respectable professionals, and by respectable I mean anywhere from, non-rotation league guys that are still staples on a team. You don't get a bunch of clock, but you still on a roster, all the way up to 6-man. I don't see any major starters. Well, let me not say that because of the size. Pause. You got some tall dudes, so they may have some start. No all-star. I don't see any all-star talent there.
Before you finish, let me say something real quick, because
I
kind of disagree with you. Not that I know for a fact, because you never know. But when I look at the guy like Towns, he's way more ready than Anthony Davis was. Anthony Davis was just a pure athlete. So you never know when that person gets to the next level, the amount of work they're going to put in. No one knew that an Anthony Davis would put the work in, but he has done that. But Towns, at this point, to me, watching him play, was a better player than Anthony Davis. And I like he may be 1 or 2 in the draft. I
like Towns and Lyles. The problem that I see with Towns, right, is you said something key. Anthony Davis is a tremendous athlete. The NBA game is about how tremendous of an athlete you are, and then how much work you're willing to put in to develop your skills. Look at what's happening out in Minnesota with the Wolves, with the Timber Pups. Man, Wiggins, it's like he gets better every 5 minutes. And that's because of the work ethic. Definitely the work ethic is a lot to be said for that. He's working hard. But it's also that pure, raw, gorilla athleticism that he has. I don't really see that with Towns, but I saw it with the unibrow. So there's only so if you're a highly skilled guy, it's kind of like Kaminsky. I see him going to the league and doing okay based off of high level of skill, but athletically he's not able to compete with Okafor, as you guys were quick to tell me when I was talking about Kaminsky pooping on Okafor. Like, he's not going to be able to compete athletically, so I don't see that with Towns either.
I think Towns has a little bit of athleticism. Now, in his past tournament, he was playing with his back to the basket, which is like, unheard of these days. But I think he has the ability to be a tremendous pro. And also, like, there's so many variables that are going to play. It depends upon where he goes. But he's definitely going to be a top 5 pick. So we'll see what happens. But he definitely has the potential, because as a collegiate athlete, in my opinion, he was better than even Anthony Davis was. Now, even with Anthony Davis being that uber athlete, his game is so defined now. It's not even about being an athlete. That's what's scary. So we'll see what happens with Towns. But getting back to their team, I know you want to break down their guard play.
Ain't much to break down. There's two tall dudes. There's two tall dudes named Harrison that probably would be forwards on someone else's roster, but they're playing 1 and a 2 and kind of interchangeably. So, here's what I'll say to that: when you're 6'5" and up, 6'5", 6'6", and you play the 1, you're gonna get to the NBA just off of being 6'6", 6'5", 6'7", and playing 1. It kind of reminds me of Marty Collins coming out of Temple. It's not that they're very good or that talented, but they're 6'5", 6'6", and they play the 1. So it's like that alone gives them a leg up. They're actually projected to go in the second round, which is a non-guaranteed situation. They will have to earn a roster spot. They'll have to work hard. They're not quick. I don't see them blowing by people with a first step, especially not at the next level. But what I will give them is playing the 1 is the ability to think like a point, being that tall, being able to defend the 1 and the 2, and as they get older, if they stick in the league, even the 3, so to be able to defend multiple positions, and they're able to see over the top of smaller guards. So when you want to initiate offense with a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", they're not going to have a problem being at the top of the key, seeing plays and sets develop. So that's an advantage that they have. Definitely will have to improve their shooting. Definitely will have to develop go-to moves to get buckets and create space, because they're not, first step, quick twitch type of guys that are going to blow by you. So maybe they also develop a little bit of a post, mid-post game to get buckets as well to threaten. But that's all I see. I mean, I see them going in the second round. One of them will probably stick. And, 10 years from now, we'll be saying, oh, remember when they were at Kentucky? They were good.
Well, let me ask you a question, though. Because systems depend upon – a lot of this goes on system, too. Now, what if they find the right set where they don't have to be – like, they don't have to necessarily do anything but play tough defense and facilitate the rock? Like, some of them – so watching them play at times reminded me of Eric Snow when he was at Michigan State. And he carved out a nice little career by just being willing to play defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think Eric Snow found himself in unique situations. He was also the consummate pro. Eric Snow being with AI was an optimal situation, because Eric Snow could essentially be a 2 guard, but he wasn't a shooter. He wasn't a scorer at all. So he's defending the 2. He'd bring the ball up occasionally and just get out of the way. I mean, that could happen for them, but I don't see too many. Looking at the landscape of the NBA right now, I don't see too many teams where that's the situation. But again, I'm giving them the benefit because they're 6'5", 6'6". So when you put that at the 1, it's like that's an advantage already. Like, to begin with, somebody like Sean Livingston, who I think is a little bit better of an athlete, but not much, he can see over everything. He's 6'7". So you got to put him at the 1 and let him post up when it's time to score.
And there's several systems, right? Like, when I think back of like Phil Jackson and how they ran their offense, they had a lot of guys come in who were just tall guards, but because they had a point forward and Scotty
runs the triangle.
No, I mean, the Knicks do too. Not success with it. But put it like this:
that's the oblong. That's the oblong. That's not the triangle. That's the oval. They run the oval.
With that being said, if you watch the Spurs play, the Spurs run a triangle. They run a variation of the triangle. The Spurs do. But there's certain, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you find certain systems, they may fit in. Like, looking at the league right now, we don't know which one that will be. But, there's certain systems, that will work. You know what I mean? Like, it all depends upon where they go. That's what I'm saying. So many variables that come into the draft that, like, it's
6'5", 6'6". They're gonna go. They're gonna end up going just because, off the strength of being that tall. I think you're going to see them get their shot. And as you're saying, there are systems that you could probably fit in. I guess the center of my point being, I don't see them being stars. I don't see them being, high quality starters, but they'll get a job. They'll get a job, and how they play this first contract out will determine whether they get a second contract.
Yeah, well, you already said they're slated to be second round, so no one's really expecting to come in and like make, that huge of a contribution to begin with. But time will tell in terms of what they do. But looking at the Final Four, right? So you look at Wisconsin, Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State. We already talked about a little bit of those. When you think about the next level, who do you think is going to be that guy at the next level out of all those teams that you just watched play? You mentioned Kaminsky, right? But I don't know,
Yeah. No.
Because to me, right,
he,
the one guy with the most upside, I mean, outside of Kentucky, because, we just mentioned they have 7 guys just announced, but
Okafor.
The other guy from Wisconsin, Okafor as well, but the other guy from Wisconsin, the Keith Van Horn clone.
Decker, I was very disappointed in his performance in that game against Duke.
Because he had your man on him. He had your man on him. Your man,
number 12. You had number 12 on him.
Yeah, he was all over him, but
I was disappointed. You got to show big players make big plays in big games, and I didn't really see him. I was disappointed.
So I guess at this point,
he's definitely a pro prospect. The thing there though, Jimmy, also is another size and athleticism. Here's a guy that's 6'9" with perimeter skills. He got 2 guard skills. He can handle. He can shoot. So yeah, he's definitely going. He's definitely going low. I see him mid to low first round.
And they said that. I don't know if he's coming out this year because he's still got a year left. And somehow with Wisconsin gets players to stay. I don't know how, but they do. Which is why they've been in a couple Final Fours in a row. But they said that he plays at the LeBron and Kevin Durant camps and gives out work. So they he already has competed with guys on the NBA level and, is giving them 1099s. So we'll see what happens, man. But it definitely was a good tournament as always. Your thoughts on Coach K all time? That makes 5 titles for him. He's only behind, at this point, he's only behind the daddy of basketball, John Wooden, everybody's pop, who has 10, but Coach K has 5. But also the thing about John Wooden to keep in mind, he had a nice long consecutive run where he had 2 of the best players in college basketball history with Kareem or Lou Alcindor back then, as well as Bill Walton. Coach K has done it with different teams in different decades, different systems, different sport, if you really want to get down to it. So what do you think Coach K, man?
He's got to be top 5 dead or alive. Gotta be. You got him. You've got Wooden. You've got.
You got a lot of guys. You got Bobby Knight. You got Dean Smith.
Yeah, Bobby Knight, Dean Smith. Yeah. He's in my top 5.
I love how you rep for Larry Brown. You just put him in there. I love how you do that because Larry Brown ain't nowhere near the greatest college coaches. I just want to point that out because I noticed how you just do that earlier. He's an amazing coach all around.
You taking Larry out of the greatest.
No shade. But when you look at the accomplishments of guys like Bobby Knight and Coach K and even Jim Calhoun, Tom Izzo, Calipari is putting tremendous resume together. I mean, But anyway, with that being said, would you say that Coach K is the greatest?
Not the greatest, one of the greatest. I would give him my top 3 nod.
Okay. I mean, I think an argument could be made. A lot of people would just jump to Wooden because of the titles, but when you break down everything, an argument can be made for Coach K. I mean, the length of time in between it, it's not like he's had one player where he just had a crazy run and won 4 straight to pump his numbers.
No, he won with Shane. He won with Shane Battier. He won with some crazy cats.
Yeah. So, argument can be made. At the same time, Auriemma, he has 10 now on the ladies' side. What kind of respect do you give him?
None.
Yo, man, you're a sexist, man.
I am. It's known. It's well known. When it comes to sports, ladies, not outside of the realm of sports. I cut it off at sports because I definitely think that women are the equal of men from an intelligence standpoint, but athletically, no, not at all.
Yo,
so I don't think about Gino. I don't think about Gino Auriemma. I don't think what he has done is impressive outside of
damn.
He could coach a rec league team. I mean, that's the equivalent of the athleticism that he's dealing with.
Yo.
Yeah.
But it's just not about athleticism, man.
No, it's not.
Some of those people are, they're very skilled. They play within the system.
Mm-hmm.
They do what they got to do. But my thing is, even if you want to say 2 for 1, I mean, his 10 is equivalent to 5 on the guy's side.
I think it's more like a 4 for 1.
Even if you take 4 for 1,
so he has
they give him like 2
4 for 1.
Like 2.5 chips. They give him like 2.5 chips. I still put some.
It gives him like 1. It gives him 1.5 chips.
No, look, put it like this, right? If you actually go and look, and I did this past week, just like because I was trying to see exactly where Coach K fit in,
indirectly you realize that you're dissing the great Larry Brown, because then you're trying to say that Gino has more than Larry. Nah, I can't.
No, hear me out though. There's not too many college coaches that have 2. Like, and even when I found them at 2, I was amazed at how many. Only a couple guys have 2 chips. And what amazed me was Rick Pitino, because he actually has 2 chips at different schools, and that list, I think, it may just be him. It's not going to be people that won at multiple schools that won the whole thing. So, but there's not too many coaches that have multiple chips. I mean, you got, Jim Calhoun. You got guys like Jim Boeheim who have like 1 chip. Like, you know what I mean? So 2 chips is a lot.
That's shocking. That's shocking.
And that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is these guys are staples of the sport. And we know them and all that. How many do you think John Thompson got?
2.
He may only. I'm not. Does he have 2? I think he may only have 1. I'm not sure. My point is, there's not too many guys that have multiples. But with that being said, I think you have to give him some credit. Now, what if he decided like next year I'm going to go to the guy's side and he wins 1? Does that validate his other 10?
It's fun, man. It's funny. It's funny that you mentioned this, because the greatest coach ever of all time doesn't have any, and that's John Chaney.
Yeah, but he was an educator. He was more about what it's supposed to be about.
Look, Jimmy won't disagree. He won't disagree with that.
Yeah, no shots at him.
John Chaney is the greatest college coach ever. If he went to the men's side and was able to win there, I would show him a little bit of respect. I don't consider him better than Pat Summitt, than the great Pat Summitt.
Why is that?
So
I think that's kind of sexist too, because there's a female teaching female, so you side with her.
Yeah.
I mean, but his team went before Pat Summitt's team. I mean, and he has more chips than Pat Summitt. Anyway, let's see the here nor there. We got off on a tangent talking female basketball, so let's move forward. I have a question for you going back to this past Final Four, though. In your opinion, watching these games, right, and breaking down what you saw, Kentucky was like 38-0. What prevented them from just running the table? What did you see in the way they played that, gave Wisconsin the opportunity to go to the championship game and end their streak?
Rebounding. For their size, they were a very good rebounding team, but for their size, they could have been better. I kind of compare them as a team to like Shaq. Like Shaq could have averaged 15 boards. Like for his career, Shaq should have averaged 13 to 14. But instead he averaged like 10 or 11. Like for their size, there's no way that they should have been beaten on the boards, and there are teams that gave them hell on the boards, and so that's one thing that I saw, board work. Also scoring, not in the sense that from a system they got points, and they did have scores, but they didn't have that one. There were times when they went through droughts, and because of their sheer size and ability to defend, I think they could just cause the other team to go through droughts as well. But scoring wasn't. It had to be. It was more manufactured. It wasn't as easy for them system-wise as it was for past teams that were as heralded. So those are the two things that I saw. Guard play. I mean, not to knock the Harrisons, but their guard play was again, their guard play was above average. It was good, but it wasn't great. So those three.
Yeah.
There's my three.
To me, you know what's amazing? And I watch a lot of basketball, whether it's in college or the pros. And when I watched Kentucky play, the one thing they struggled with was the pick and roll. And it's crazy how, like, that's so basic of a thing, but so many people struggle with it. And I think that was one thing that hurt them. I definitely think their board work could have been better. And they took some dumb shots at the end. Like, Towns was killing them, and they stopped giving them the ball. Like,
that's another great. That's a good point. That's offense. That's offense. Like you said, that's offense.
Kaminsky had no answer for Towns, but it's like now you just want to shoot up like floaters and jump shots, and also I know they mentioned it on a broadcast, and everyone saw this. You don't have to be an analyst to understand this. Why are they running like the 1-4? What was Calipari doing? So he gets a lot of blame in this too, because he started calling some BS down the end, and it was definitely him calling it, because you watch the game. There were times when they took the ball over half court, like basically took the air out, and were looking to him to say, all right, what are we going to run? And he kept calling the 1-4. And I'm like, why are you doing that? You have a big man that's owning everybody.
Jimmy, it's very important for our listeners to understand what Calipari and also to a degree Pitino, what they are. There are really three types of collegiate coach. There's the teacher, who really is about, the integrity of the game and teaching the fundamentals and the principles of the game. Then there is what I like to call the CEO. Mm-hmm. Pitino and Calipari are CEOs, meaning they go out and get talent, so they recruit very well and they motivate very well. So they're going to take that immense talent, they're going to get that talent motivated, and then they install them within their system. But they don't have a complex or complicated system. They don't do a lot of teaching. They, individually, they keep you in shape. They get you individual drills ready for, the next step, and they promise you the opportunity to make it to the next level. And that's what Calipari is. He's CEO, he's a master motivator, and he's a master recruiter. But he's not teaching you or coaching you ish. He's not a strategist. He's not going to make great adjustments.
But here's my thing, right? When you watch them play, and shout out to the Sage of Sports who's in our chat room. He said he thinks Coach K can be called number one. And he also said Auriemma has to get some shine, even though it is women's b-ball. But with that being said, like the thing about these games, a lot of times we say he choked or they choke. Sometimes coaches choke. And you see it in the NFL with this calling crazy plays towards the end of the game. Like towards the end of that game, I don't want to say he choked, because Calipari is a great coach, or as you like to call him, a great CEO. But some of his calls at the end didn't make any sense, and his team was looking to him for direction. Like they literally were turning there looking like, all right, what are we running now? And he, came out, called the play, and it just didn't work. Now, that's no shots at him, because he also had a 38. He also had a 38-win team, which is amazing. And it's sort of like we want to coop on him for what he does. Yeah, we want to.
No, that's credit for what he does. That's credit for what he does. But this thing of ours, you understand this game. When you see coaches that make strategy adjustments and execution adjustments versus what he does, there are guys out there that don't have his pedigree or number of champions that are better to me I don't even want to say better coaches, but better strategists, better in-game coaches. Like, I'll go back to my man, Larry Brown. Like, coaching from the actual. All right. Tom Izzo is a hell of a coach in the coach's box during a game. He's going to make the adjustments. Calipari doesn't do that.
Yeah,
he doesn't do that. So that's my knock on it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. I just want to get like your opinion in terms of why, because they were close to making some serious history. Now, here's something else I want to talk to you about, and I'll tell you why once I talk about the story. Shaka Smart from VCU, educated brother. He left for Texas, a bigger school, bigger program. And I saw a lot of comments both ways. Smart move. I saw people even call him unloyal and all kinds of craziness. What do you think about this brother taking a new job in Texas?
Man, for his career and what it will do, I think it will springboard him onto the national stage if he plays it right. Now, Texas has been it's had some successes. It's had some
Kevin
successes.
Durant.
It's not on. Yeah, it's had Kevin. I mean, right now it's just it's kind of out there. Like, it's not really. They're not making much noise. But what it has is an unlimited. Do you hear me? Unlimited budget for him to recruit, for him to practice, like practice facility, player resources, personnel resources. If you give a guy with his basketball mind and his ability to motivate, because he's one of those dudes, to me, what I see with Shaka Smart is he blends all of the elements. So he's a CEO, he's a motivator, he's a great recruiter, but he also knows the X's and O's of the game. So The move to Texas is a big step for him. You remember 2 seasons ago, there was talk about him going to NC State. And I was like, if you make that jump, that would have been the same thing. Not to the level of Texas, but it would have been head and shoulders above VCU. Now, should he have stayed at VCU? VCU is a historically black college and university, is it not?
I don't think they are. Let me check that. I don't know. I don't think they are.
Yeah, they're not. You don't think they are?
No.
If it is an HBCU, no, it's not. It's not. Well, honestly, no, I don't have.
I know Virginia Union is.
Virginia Union is, right?
That's Virginia.
No, I don't have a problem. Yeah, I don't have a problem.
VCU is Virginia Commonwealth. No, I don't think they are, but they're Virginia Commonwealth. Virginia Union is a HBCU.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the move. I think it was smart. I think it's prime time for him now to step to that.
I think this, right? It's hard to say someone's loyal or disloyal in a business, because essentially that's what it is. Coaching is a tough profession because basically you're going to get fired one day. The only guys that don't get fired are literally the legends, and that's it. Like guys like Phil Jackson, Popovich.
They get fired.
But they don't get fired. They've never been. Phil Jackson was never fired. He left.
Man, Bobby Knight in Indiana was about to get
here's
fired.
My point. He got fired for other reasons because he was like literally putting his paws on people. But he didn't get fired for performance. Let's put it that way. But what I'm saying is, even guys like a Larry Brown's gotten fired several places. But my point is, so it's hard to say someone's disloyal. But what I found no shade. What I found amazing about it is the amount of shade that he took, and everything. I'm gonna
put it in the financial terms.
I know people try
financial terms.
But listen though,
where he can't go ahead.
People say that we're race baiters, and I'm not a race baiter, but I do notice that when other coaches leave for a better job, at the end of the day, that's all it is. This man's offered a better job and he took it. No one says anything. I mean, Pitino and Calipari, we talked about them. He left UMass. He went to the league. He went to Memphis. He always moved up until the point now where he's at one of the biggest programs in the world, Kentucky. But no one ever said he's disloyal or these kind of things when he left for a job. But when Shaka Smart does it, that's another one of those privileged things. Like, it was so much shade being thrown. I was like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, Rick Pitino took a nice check for the Celtics and rolled out on his students and then came back. You know what I mean? Like, but no one says these things. You can go to football with Steve Spurrier. No one says these things, but the thing about it is, Shaka Smart did it, and he caught all kinds of shade. Even on our personal page, he caught shade.
Look, man, Shaka Smart's base salary at VCU was $450,000 a year. He had some supplemental income with that, which would take it to about $800,000. His base salary at Texas is going to be well north of $1 million a year. Well,
so his base went from where? Like, what kind of raise is he talking about? You said before the bonuses, he was what?
We're talking before the bonuses, $450,000 a year. We're talking about a $550,000 to $600,000 raise. Yeah.
How you gonna turn that down? How you gonna look your wife in the face though?
He had a 5-year deal.
Can you imagine come home to your wife like, babe, I got offered a gig. Like, I don't care. Like, yo, and it's about a $500,000 raise.
Listen. He had a 5-year deal with VCU worth $3 million. Dude, come on, man. His deal is over $5 million. Texas.
Yo. How you gonna look your wife in the face? Only way you don't look your wife in the face is if you a boss and you own your own, because you ain't gonna go work for nobody. You know what I mean? It's like, might as well call him daddy. But other than that, how you gonna turn down?
No. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. His deal with VCU was worth $1.8 million. His 5-year deal before bonuses, over five. His 5-year deal.
That's less than that.
Yeah, this is base. I'm not talking bonus. Bonus, but his 5-year deal without bonuses in Texas is $3 million. So he's looking at at least a $1.3 million raise. And once you count in factor bonuses, that could be way more than that. So it's a no-brainer, man. I'm not mad at that man at all. I will qualify the question I asked. Why I asked if it was an HBCU is because I do want to see at one point in time someone take the time to go to a historically black college and university and grow that program and stick with that. That's probably wishful thinking on my part, but he's at a PWI, a predominantly white institution, man. I don't care. Go get your money, man.
What's his base at Texas? What's his base at Texas? Just the base. You said how many million? I know it was 1.8 for VCU. Other one you said 3
million. Yeah, his base at Texas is $3 million over 5 years.
All right. So you talking about he was making like 350. So that's like just on base alone, he was making like a little over 3 at VCU, and he's making 6. Yeah, come on, man. You can't look your wife in the face and be like, no.
Yeah.
So anyway, that being said, man,
that's what it boils down to. You looking your wife in the face, man. You can't turn that money down.
Yeah, man. Let's stop talking about this. Let's stop being chatty patties and talking about his money. But anyway, let's talk about this. Let me see. We already established on the show that you're a sexist. But what do you think about this? The NFL has hired its first full-time female official. Do you think this will work, or will it cause issues?
It's gonna cause issues, but man, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. I just think that
keep it real. That's what we do.
She's put her work in. She started in high school. She put over 12 years in the collegiate ranks, and now she's officiating NFL games. Initially the sexist part of me was going to say, well, she ain't never tackled anybody, but then how many NFL refs really have either? So
you don't know what she do in her off time.
Yeah, she could wrestle with bears.
My point is this, though. I don't even think it's a big story at all. Like, because we think most referees are terrible anyway. So You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But she
yeah.
definitely will
I'm
stand
gonna
up
have it one way or the other.
as a female. So, shout out to her for making strides, and because I think that females can do everything we do. I definitely do. So shout out to her for that.
I don't. Can't pee standing up.
I
But
don't know. Let me shut up. This is a different show. Anyway, Shady speaks out on Chip Kelly's disrespect for star players. You are a Philadelphia Eagles fan. You're a Shady McCoy fan. I don't know how you feel about Chip Kelly at this point. What do you think about Shady talking greasy about his coach now that he's out of town?
they've had static. I don't think they got along initially from the jump. There were some issues. I mean, as long as he doesn't delete any tweets or back down from his statements, I don't have a problem with that man expressing himself honestly to the world. You know, he just has to deal with the consequences and repercussions, the blowback, the questions that are going to come, and you know, the chatty patties talking about, you know, his opinion. But he had a personal shout out to Dame Dash. We're gonna get you on the show. But he, you know, he has an opinion from a personal experience with Chip Kelly, and he's expressing himself. I don't have a, what did he say exactly? Because I'm out of the loop. As you know, I was in Guadalupe scouting for the Naked Women's Midget Basketball League. So what did he say?
He was talking about I'll get you some direct quotes. He was talking about you know, because you know him and Deshaun Jackson and you know, a lot of those guys were tight, specifically them two, and he felt like he was being disrespectful. Here's an exact quote. He says, "I don't think he likes or respects the stars. I'm being honest." He says that it was Deshaun Jackson. Hold on, let's get the exact quote again, because I was reading the quote and then I had this obviously a pop up because he drawing. Anyway, it says that he doesn't like the fact that they're star players. Basically, to kind of summarize what he was saying is Chip Kelly wants to do things his way, his system, and be the star, and he doesn't like the fact that they're star players on his team. That's me summarizing and giving my opinion based upon what he said. In that his exact words were he doesn't respect the stars. He thinks that any player can be plugged into his system. So it's sort of like an ego thing is what he's saying. I think it's a couple things with this. When you look at coaches like their guys. And when you think about like Shady or even Deshaun Jackson, they were Andy's guys. Andy brought them in. So that's one part of it. But I also think that because anytime you hear about Chip Kelly, what you hear about is what? His system. So I think that he honestly believes. So, you know, I don't think that he believes in paying guys certain amounts of money. You know, he can go get somebody else and just run his system.
I believe there's validity. To those claims. You know, the what's going to happen here with the Eagles is it all has to shake out on the football field and the productivity and accomplishments of the team. You know, so right now Chip has made these decisions. He's made these moves. When you look at them on paper, let's take the fan out of it, the emotion out of it. You cannot pay Deshaun Jackson $12 million unless you're the Washington, you know, professional football team. They can do that, but you know, regular football teams, you can't pay Deshaun Jackson $12 million. Shady was scheduled to make close to right under $12 million. I don't have a problem with them paying that, but I understand them not paying him that. And if he would not restructure, I understand the move. As a fan, I didn't like it. I would have rather seen Shady in an Eagles uniform. But the question is 1,300 to 1,350 yards and the number of touches, is it worth $12 million? Probably not.
Well, here's the question.
But then you go out and you spend that money on DeMarco Murray. So it's like you're spending big bucks anyway. So I see Shady's point, but now Chip's point can't really be proven or made until we get through the next season or two, actually. Whether he's right.
Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. It's all going to play itself out, which is the great thing about sports. Because we sit around and we judge and we do these things, but everything gets played out. That's the great thing about sports. So we'll see, because I mean, everyone knows they say in Chip we trust. Everything's on Chip now. So if he believes the system,
here's the other thing, though, Jimmy. Jimmy, the one thing that we have to acknowledge, the NFL is not college. So you cannot take a collegiate approach. You're not these dudes' dad, and you do have to treat star players differently. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. But basketball, we got to talk some hoops and this Hall of Fame
definitely. We definitely do. But here's the thing, though. Let me jump into this stat of the week because I want to get your opinion on this. There's only 3 players in the history of the league that have registered 3 or more 40-plus point triple doubles in the same season. Michael Jordan, Russell Westbrook, and Oscar Robertson, who did it in 4 different seasons. What do you think about like these crazy numbers that Russell Westbrook has put up this season? Because I think it's gonna be one of those things. If he doesn't win the MVP, he's going to kind of be forgotten. But when anytime you see Oscar or Wilt or Mike in like these categories that people ranking, you just gotta say, damn.
Yeah. I almost feel it's a shame that I gotta dissect them and break them down, because in a vacuum, I just want to appreciate the season that Russell Westbrook is having, and I salute him. And we had this thing, War Room Sports. We're somewhere in our early 30s, late 20s. Joke. I kid. So a lot of these newfangled things that this generation of NBA players subscribe to, dressing in women's clothing, wearing purses, makeup, doing fashion shows instead of dunk contests. A lot of that stuff, like, we don't subscribe to. Like, we're just not with it. And Russell Westbrook off the court is a part of that generation and a part of the problem. But on the basketball court, Russell Westbrook is a throwback to the 70s and 80s. Man, he gives 112% maximum effort on both ends of the court. And so you want to appreciate the fact that he's able to put up these astronomical numbers. He's able to compete night in and night out with the energy level of a banshee. And so when he's an esteemed company, and rightfully so, I'm so impressed with what he's been able to turn himself into in the NBA. Because it's not, a lot of it's not off pure skill. It's off hustle and athleticism and ability. Like, I respect it, man. I'm impressed. It's a little different than the other gentlemen because it's not leading to wins, but it's not his fault because he's asked to play the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, get water for himself, massage other people, clean the unit. He's asked to do everything for the Thunder night in and night out because Serge Ibaka has turned into an unpowerful 6'1" forward. Enes Kanter is balling, but he still needs to grow a little bit. I think he's going to be Kevin is gone, and the person they're missing that nobody is talking about, Reggie Jackson. There's no one backing dude up. There's no one that can get their own back. He's his own backup. They're also lightweight missing Thabo because Thabo was their best defender, and you could at least give Russ a break because Russ is so competitive that he doesn't care that, he has to, drop 30 plus defend the best player on the other team. He'll take the challenge. But at least with a Thabo Cephalosha there, you could throw Thabo on. Basically what you're saying is Russell has to score all the points. He's got to defend the best guy. He's got to back himself up because he's got to be his own backup. And he's got to fill in for Kevin. On one hand, I love what I'm seeing. On the other, I feel a little sorry for the dude, man. He's got to do all his work. So that's why he's notching a triple-double almost every game out, man, because he's got to do so much. And Dion Waiters, step your game up, B. You know what I mean? Stop it. Get your game together, man. You leaving your brother Wes out there by his damn self.
Here's one thing that when I saw this stat, right, it made me think about. I think Oscar Robertson might be like one of the most underrated or forgotten legends because his name is never mentioned. But when you look at some of the numbers and seasons he's had, he's got to be top 5 to 10 of all time. Like his numbers are just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's top 10. I definitely give him top 10. He was a little ahead of his time based surely on size. I mean, you had 6'5", 6'6" dude that basically played 3 positions, the 1, the 2, and the 3. But he doesn't get his just due. He definitely doesn't.
He definitely doesn't. So I just wanted to put that out there. Also, briefly before we jump into our major hoops talk, the Hall of Fame class was announced for 2015. It includes a lot of people. Dick Bavetta, who was a referee for 39 years. Crazy. John Calipari, who we just mentioned, is actually going to the Hall. So the same day that his team lost that game, he got a nod to the Hall. Four-time NBA All-Star Spencer Haywood. Here's your guy. Dikembe Mutombo is going to the Hall. Lisa Leslie, as well as JoJo White. Those are the players that have made it. Anybody that stand out to you or you think doesn't deserve it or they do deserve?
Of course. First of all, before I get to the person that does not deserve it, I would like to say in honor of the great Dikembe Mutombo. Ladies, who wants to sex Mutombo?
Yo,
really did step into the
said
club.
that, but shout out to him for getting right to the point, not playing games with him.
Yo, Spencer Haywood, yo, my bad, yo. Yo, you gotta go, cuz. No.
Yo, Spencer Haywood is one of these guys, right? Who, and I can't say I watched his entire career. He never lived up to his potential because, like, you know, I do a lot of reading. When I read about like older cats, like Dr. J and Magic and even Kareem or whatever, you read their books, and they talk about like Spencer Haywood coming out of high school and college. They talk about him like he was supposed to be that guy, but I don't think he ever lived up to what he was supposed to be. Now he still had a solid career. Let's not get it twisted. But we're talking about the Hall of Fame. You gotta talk about the Hall of Fame, though, baby. Now again, remember, this is the Basketball Hall of Fame.
This selection of Spencer Haywood is confirmation and proof as to why War Room Sports has its own separate Hall of Fame. We got our own separate criteria because it's not the Hall of Very Good. It's not the Hall of Average. It's not the Hall of maybe shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's not the Hall of he was great in high school. It's not the Hall of he was the best college player I ever saw. It's not the Hall of it's the Hall of Fame. Spencer Haywood does not belong mentioned with the other people on this list. No.
You don't think
he wasn't dominant. You can tell the story. Jimmy, listen, before we get to the three criteria, let me just throw one up there. You can't tell the story or the narrative of basketball without Spencer Haywood? Really?
Of course you can. But here's the thing, though. Here's one thing I can give him credit for. Now, he is career-wise. If you take because here's the one problem. He did play in the ABA, right? Now, he only played the one season in the ABA before they merged, and he was one of the better players in the ABA that year he played. Because his total career, if you add his ABA year in with his entire NBA season, his career average is 20 and about 10. So he's a 20 and 10 guy. But there's a lot of 20 and 10 guys. You can look at Chris Gatling and Orlando Woolridge had 20 and 10 years. But his ABA season, his first year in the ABA, my man averaged 30 and 20. Like, now
real talk.
Game,
Real talk. I swear to goodness, when I heard his name, the first person I thought of for my rebuttal to this was Chris Gatling. He's not that much better than Chris Gatling. Chris Gatling gave for a good 4 seasons, Chris Gatling was a 20 and 10 dude.
But now listen, Spencer, like that's only one season. Spencer did have seasons in the NBA where he put up points. Like his second year in the NBA, he was 20 and 12. His third year, he was 26 and 13. His fourth year, he was 29 and 13. So he had some amazing years in the NBA. He averaged 20 and 10 as his entire career. But I do know that coming up out of high school and college, like just from reading, they thought that he was going to be like, the next Kareem or Wilt or one of these guys. So I don't know if he ever lived up to that.
Right.
But he had some amazing years in the NBA.
Don't be mad when Christina Bosch gets in, and don't be mad when I start the Sharif Abdur-Rahim nomination.
We about to make our own Aki Hall of Fame. We're going to name it the Olajuwon Hall of Fame because it's in his name because there's no Aki.
The Olajuwon Rauf Hall of Fame.
The Olajuwon Rauf Abdul-Jabbar Hall of Fame, man. So he had some good seasons, 24 and 14, 20 and 12. So he had some good seasons, man. But, shout out to him anyway for making the Hall. That's what it is. Before we jump into some more basketball talk, Austin, tell everybody how to get in touch with us real quick.
Absolutely. Ladies, gentlemen, and lowlifes, check out our website at warroomsports.com. To call in and speak with us about any of today's topics, dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted, and we will answer the line from our illustrious Beverly Hills studio live. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk.
All right, it's time to talk more NBA, and this NBA wrap is brought to you by Fanatics. For the best in your favorite team's merchandise and apparel, shop Fanatics. Shopping Fanatics is easy. Go to our website at warroomsports.com and click on the Fanatics logo. That's on our main page. And once you get there, you can buy NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA gear, and more. That's right, warroomsports.com, and click on the Fanatics logo and make sure that you cop up. It's time to talk basketball. The players of the week this week in the National Basketball Association, otherwise known as La Costa, is Brook Lopez and James Harden. This is Brook Lopez's second player of the week in a row. He's been balling lately. We always talk about how he can play when he's healthy. The problem is he never seems to be healthy, but right now he's healthy. He led the Nets to a 3-1 week. He averaged 20.8 points and 10.3 rebounds, and put up some Spencer Haywood numbers and 2 blocks. He shot better than 50% in all 4 contests and ranked 7th in the East in the week in field goal percentage with 59.4. He recorded 2-point rebound double doubles, including a 30-17 against the Raptors. He put up 30 and 17. Now, Harden, on the other hand, his Rockets went 3-1. With him averaging 36.8 points. He scored 40 points twice this past week.
Yeah, the Bears.
Raising his league-leading total of 40-point games this season to 10. He recorded his second 50-point game of the season when he put up 51 during a 115-111 win over the Sacramento Kings on April 1st. Now, I do believe, we talk about this whole MVP race later, but, Harden is drawn right now. I think that, and the funny thing is, Steph is as well. It's sort of like these guys, they really want it, which I'm impressed with. Like, both of these guys want the MVP because both of them are going crazy. I didn't get a chance to talk to you last week about this, but I want to ask you a question, which is tied in with these MVPs and what we just talked about. I didn't get your opinion on Steph Curry, what he did to CP3. What are your thoughts on that? Because I want to hear your opinion because you weren't here to talk about that.
Yeah. See, the problem is I am a huge Stephen Curry fan. I'm a huge James Harden fan, and I'm a huge Jamal Crawford fan. That has nothing to do with the conversation, but I was
going to ask you.
Those are the guys that I enjoy tuning into the NBA and watching. Steph, that move, what he did to Chris Paul, let me explain why I thought it deserved the hype. Now, when you look at it closely, CP3's foot, Chris Paul's foot started to slip, and it ran into Steph's foot, and then Steph pulled his foot back within the move. I don't think he intentionally did, and then he further slipped. The reason that it deserved the hype is because Cliff Paul is already overrated as an on-ball defender. He gets so much hype for on-ball defense, and it's not really what it's made out to be. He's hype. He's a little bit of hype on the ball. They go at each other so tough, and Steph Curry has the eye of the tiger when it comes to getting at the league's top point guards. He gets up for matchups. Pause. 4 times this year they've played the Clippers, and 4 times he's done it to Chris Paul. Whether it's the total points of the game, whether it's a specific move in the game, he takes delight and pleasure in rubbing Chris Paul's nose in the fact that he's coming for the number 1 spot. And I know that in the back of Cliff Paul's mind, he's upset that he gave this man the Allstate commercial.
Yo,
But,
he coming for that.
what
He
were you
coming
gonna
for that Allstate chicken. I think they must get like stock options based upon head-to-head play. Pause, because
Yo,
he definitely coming for his
he
spot,
be
man.
killing. He be killing. So based on that, was the move in a vacuum, just a move by itself? If it wasn't those two, does it deserve that type of hype? Probably not. You know, and I recall you and Dev and I having a conversation as it was going on live time, like, yeah, you know, we kind of overhyping it, or I'm overhyping it. But Chris Paul for years has been overhyped as an on-the-ball defender. He gets a lot of passing lane steals because he anticipates well. And he makes some good clutch plays defensively, but night in, night out, play in, play out, set in, set out, quarter in, quarter out, he's not some lockdown defender, and he's gotten some first-team all-defensive bids that were unwarranted. He's gotten some second-team all-defensive bids that were unwarranted. So I get hyped when I see him get cracked.
Yeah, so, you know, that was
Oh, and by
point,
the
but
way, I
James
like
Harden-
Chris Paul. I like Chris Paul.
I mean, Chris Paul came back the next night, and I think they played Portland, and he gave Lillard, like,
And
you know,
put up 40 and 17. 40 and 17.
yeah, he
killed
took
me.
it out on him. There's a lot of great guards in the league right now, man. I love watching them play night in and out, especially when they go against each other, man. So, shout out to CP3. You know, rest in
Speaking
peace
of
to
great
Lakers.
guards,
But
get to the beard. Get to the beard.
getting back to the Beard and Brook Lopez, who are the players of the week. We just brought up Steph because both of those guys seem to want it. Like, they both are stepping their games up. But Brook Lopez, real quick about him. The numbers these past 2 weeks are crazy. His talent has never been in question. It's his health. So we'll see what happens. James Harden, I got to do nothing but salute the man. Like, you know, his defense is what it is. But on the offensive side of the ball, I don't know who's better right now. I just don't know. Like, who's better? Because it's like even when you stop him or something, he has the ability, like all the greats do, of getting to the line. Like, a lot of people don't talk about that, but he gets to the line.
Who's better? When you say who's better, you're asking out of him and Steph?
I'm talking about in the league right now, just from an offensive standpoint.
Oh, who's better? Yeah, nobody. Because
Yeah, just from an
if you also
just the ability to score.
If you watch him scoring, it's easy. It's easy. It's efficient. Like, dude is one of those rare dudes. You know the type of cats where Mike was one of them, where they can have, you look at their actual shooting percentage, and you're like, damn, he didn't even make that many shots. He was missing. Why? Because he went to the line. He went to the line 15 times. I saw a game where he had 40. He had 40 plus. He had like 47 or 44. Yo, he missed a lot of shots, but he went to the line 18 times.
Yeah, no one talks about that. Like Mike did it. AI had the ability to do it. Like, just get to the line, and you know that makes the game a little easier. So you know, shout out to him for that. His defense still needs improvement, but yo, from an offensive standpoint, I don't know who's better, man. Who's better?
He's the MVP. He's my MVP because of the squad that he runs with, and I know that's not the way the MVP is done right now by the writers. But for me, he's doing the most with the least. The guy that's on his team that is supposed to be a Hall of Famer and holding, I mean, he's busy, you know, grabbing penis during games, and that's about all he's good for. Josh Smith is the most frustrating man in the world because the talent is there, but his brain is on zero. Terrence, what's the power forward's name? His first name Terrence. That's all we going with. Terrence. Yeah, Terrence. he can only play to his ability about 15 minutes a game, and then he gets shook and scared and makes boneheaded plays. They have a point guard who's not a point guard. He's just an athlete. They can shoot occasionally. They lost Chandler Parsons. They don't get much from their bench. I mean, dude is out there by himself. Trevor Ariza is good, but his type of good doesn't mean much. Like, he gets his numbers on good teams and bad teams. It doesn't matter. You know, Trevor Ariza is going to get 16 points, 6 boards, and 2 steals, and shoot 37% from 3, but it doesn't result in the team being better or worse.
You said that he's your MVP pick. Before we get into the NBA talk, there's a couple things I want to get your opinion about that happened this week. Like the Kings had a player, Sim Bular, who became the first player of Indian descent to play in an NBA game. Is this historic or no?
It's historic based on where David Stern's vision of the NBA is. I mean, he wants an all-world league, and he's excited to have players from anywhere that in the U.S. market appear obscure. I think there's historic significance. The number of people in India alone make it significant. The dude is 7'5". He can dunk without jumping. I mean, it has some historical significance.
Okay, that's what's up. Now, I think it also has a little bit of historic significance. We'll see long term what it means. But here's the story I want to talk to you about. This is the greatest thing of the week to me. Eric Bledsoe got ejected for arguing a call, right? But the greatest part about this is he got 2 technicals, but he was arguing a call that went in his favor. Yo, a foul was called on him. Or not on him. Someone committed a foul. Yo, you didn't let me finish. Basically, what I was.
Yeah, I didn't need to.
Someone committed a foul on Eric Bledsoe. And Eric Bledsoe was so pissed that the other ref didn't call it too. He wanted to get. He was mad that the other ref didn't see it. So he argued a call that went his way and somehow got it. I know I've personally never seen this. Have you ever seen anything like this? And what's your opinion on it, yo?
Ever. I think he's a fool. And furthermore, I'd like to also say this. I don't know y'all opinion on Eric Bledsoe, but I have always been of the opinion that he is overrated. Like, people make a big deal about he's a tremendous athlete. He's not a natural point guard. Play a little D. What else can you do when you're sitting behind Chris Paul? He play a little D when he gets in the game. But now, he's getting 16, 17 points a game. He was playing with Dragan. I've always thought he's a little overrated. So I'm probably biased in my assessment of this situation. I think he's a fool. You should be thankful to be in the league.
Yo, I don't even know if he's overrated because I've never heard anyone rate him. So I don't even know where he's rated. He does have a little talent. He's a quality backup in my opinion. But I have seen him have games where he's shown the ability to pick up the scoring or take over a little bit while the best player is not on the floor. So he does have value. But in terms of arguing a call that went your way and getting ejected, that is the greatest story of the week. I've never heard of anything like that, never seen anything like that, but it's amazing. So shout out to him for just making my week amazing with that. Another quick question in terms of the NBA landscape. Derrick Rose and Paul George both have returned. Now, my question is, will this mean anything going into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference? Because, the Pacers as well as the Bulls are right there. So what will this mean? Right now,
this week, this season, Derrick Rose coming back means more. That Derrick Rose means because the Bulls are competitive and have a chance to get somewhere between the 7th and I'll say 4th seed. So getting him back means something. The question is, can they mesh well with the season that Powell's having, with Jimmy Butler coming back and hopefully he's healthy. They've got something. They've got something if it meshes and it works. Paul George coming back, I respect him for his competitive nature. In a time when we see our superstars take mid-season vacations just to work in the front office and make trades, when we see guys come playing all-star games but shut it down soon after, I salute him for, his competitive nature, wanting to bring him back to do the thing that he loves for the fans that support him. So salute to Paul George. It ain't going to mean a damn thing for the Pacers in terms of playoff contention. I saw him working out. He looks fresh. He looks like he's all the way back. There's no knee braces. Still kind of explosive, still strong. He probably isn't as explosive or as strong as we're used to seeing him. He'll get that back. He looks like, I get the sense that because of his age and the way medicine has advanced, by next season he's going to be the same player he always was. I think he's going to be the same. Short term, Derrick Rose is more valuable coming back. Long term, I think Derrick Rose is on the downslide. Long term.
That's an interesting observation. The one thing that's made me think about though, right, with the Bulls is just like how difficult it is to win a championship in any sport, because there's so many things that can go wrong. Injury being a major part of that. Because you look at the team like the Bulls, right, and everybody has been naming them as a team to kind of get past the Heat when LeBron was there, and now Cleveland. They were always that team, but they haven't been able to stay consistently healthy, because even outside of Derrick Rose, the Jimmy Butler going down, this is so many issues that Thibodeau has had to deal with. This is why championships are so special, because so many things have to go right. If you look at a team like the Thunder and their injuries, like ever since they lost that finals, everybody just thought they would run through the West, like they would own the West. But they've been dealing with injury after injury, so this is why championships are so important. And watching these two guys come back, because the Pacers were right there as well, it's like, damn, a lot of things have to go right to win a championship. This is why they're so special. So I'm glad both guys were able to come back. Let's see both teams, with all their players. Like you said, none of them will be 100%. And in order to mesh and gel so fast, I doubt it, but at least they're there. Shout out to those gentlemen. Look forward to them both getting to 100% and competing in the future. Now let's get back to this MVP talk. You said that you're going for Harden. They asked LeBron if he could vote, who would he vote for MVP. Now they are going to, from what I read currently, they're going to change this and let the players vote. But here's the thing, though. LeBron says if he had a vote right now, he'd vote for himself. People got pissed, like, what about Russell Westbrook and this and the third? I didn't take it that way. My thing is, what's he supposed to say? Yo, you probably can ask Spencer Hawes right now who's MVP, and Spencer Hawes will say Spencer Hawes. And if he didn't, something wrong with him. Like, in order to be an athlete, like you have to believe you're the best, even if you're not. Which is why there's certain guys, right? There's certain guys that think they're better than they are, and we tend to like those guys. I know you do. Yeah. Like when there's guys,
Reggie Miller.
When there's guys in their head who really think that they're that nice, and they're really not that nice. Those are the guys that you gotta love. Like Lance Stevenson, you can't tell him he's not the best player in the league.
Right.
Like
I agree. I mean, we coming from the same spot in a vacuum. Now I know why you're doing this, because this is a setup for me to bash Raymond James, and I'm definitely going to take the opportunity to do that. So before I close my mouth on what I'm saying, pause. It's probably going to turn into me finding a way to poop on dude. But like you said, what else is he supposed to say? What else is he supposed to say? I mean, the only out that I would give him, if you want to do the pseudo humility thing, he could have said Kyrie. He could have said a teammate. He could have, done it that way. My problem is LeBron always plays the media savvy, pseudo humble. He always says the right thing. Mm-hmm. So now I never feel like that's genuine. I never feel like it's genuine. This was him.
I'm laughing because you're not the first person I've ever heard say that. I hear a lot of people say that they don't think anything that comes out of his mouth is genuine.
Yeah, it's genuine. No, not at all. I think everything is contrived. This was a glimpse at the genuine LeBron Raymond James. So the issue that I'm going to take with it, the issue I have is, dude, if you feel this way, why are you so fraudulent and fake all the other times with what you come with out of your mouth? If that's how you feel and you're really that cocky and you believe in yourself that much, carry yourself like that. Don't be this fake political, nice guy that I personally can see is not really you. That's not you. What is it? You want people to like you so much that you play the nice guy? No, you believe that you're that good and you know that you're the dude, then say that then.
People have bought into that, and LeBron has made no qualms about telling us that he wants to be the first $1 billion athlete, and everything he does is to get his chicken up. So it's all part of it. But I found that interesting. Now, jumping into the actual talks, We know that the favorites were Harden, Westbrook, and Savant last week even said he'd throw Unibrow in the mix. I think that Steph may win it. But all the points that you made earlier, I'm now coming around to picking Harden myself. Because down the stretch, he's took it up another notch. It's like we've been talking MVP for the past 3 weeks. Like we did a video on this. Since that video we did, he took it up another. Like I didn't think that he could take his game to another notch, but he's done that. And it's in the most crucial time. Like I gotta check. I think they're like the number 2 seed right now, aren't they?
Jimmy, they're the number 2 seed, and he does everything. Him and Westbrook don't have any nights off. Those 2 guys, they don't get any nights off. They get no relief because, and this is not a shot or a dig at his teammate. Well, yeah, it is probably, but he has a point guard that can't really play point guard. He can't run the offense. So he is essentially the best point guard option on that team. He's the best point guard. Because if you notice, and off the pick and roll, I would challenge you to find a better pick and roll player. The only other guys you're going to name are like Chris Paul. You know, you're going to say Chris Paul. You're going to say, Steve Nash, who's technically retired.
He's retired. The only player I would say is Chris Paul because Chris Paul is a master of the pick and roll. But outside of that, you're maybe right.
Outside of he makes, because pick and roll is about reading. It's about reading the court, reading the set of the defense, and then reading the players in the pick. He never makes the wrong decision. And what I've noticed is they usually use their bigs. They use their 4. They don't necessarily use the 5. They use the 4 to set the screen, and they won't catch the pass. They'll make a dumb read themselves. They'll do something. They won't. Josh Smith and my man Terrence, whatever his last, Terrence X, they make some boneheaded plays in that pick and roll. And he does. And James Harden always.
That's his name from now on. He's Terrence X.
Yeah, Terrence X. Yeah, him. And then you had him with the scoring responsibility. Like, dude does so much for the Rockets. And then you get to the fact that the second best player on the team is busy just having his coming out party. He's on the sideline playing with Isaiah Cannon's wee-wee. And that's what he's doing with the season. He's not doing much else. He's not rebounding. He's not really working on getting healthy. He's on the sideline playing dress up, wearing dandelion clothes, all types of crazy mess. But while James Harden is by himself out there working. So I give it to Harden. I would like to see Steph win it just because Steph is more of a favorite of mine. Steph, you want it. You know why Steph is going to win it and why you want Steph to win it? Because when you look at Steph, you don't realize that he's a superhuman athlete. You can relate to him more. He's 6'2", 6'3", looks like a regular dude. He's got the baby face. You imagine him playing ball with you pickup-wise. You're not realizing that he's doing this to grown-ass gorillas. Like, he's out there doing this to superhuman athletes. The shots he takes and makes are stupid, and they go in. So Steph, you can relate to. He's sellable, and I've bought into it. So I'm not mad if Steph wins it. If Steph wins it, I'm happy because I love watching him play. But if I talk strictly who deserves it, it's James Harden. So I rank it James Harden, Curry, Russell Westbrook, Unibrow, and probably Spencer Hawes.
Spencer Hawes. No doubt.
And
I've already given him.
I
just think honestly that I didn't even realize that Harden had another level to take it to. So I definitely want to salute him for stepping the game to another level when it matters most. I'm interested to see the playoffs. It has nothing to do with the MVP, but he has had his issues in the playoffs. With that being said, man, it's time for us to get out of here, man. Salute to UB Austin for chopping it up with me these past couple hours. Thanks for joining us in the warm, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook and Twitter, the callers who chimed in. We appreciate that. The ones we didn't get to, we definitely apologize. But tune in next week. Same time, same place, live right here on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for more great sports talk. We'll talk NBA playoffs, and of course, we'll discuss all other big stories in the world of sports. So until then, enjoy your week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Catch our conversations on Facebook and Twitter. That's at War Room Sports. Don't forget our blogs, webcasts, network podcasts. Everything can be found at warroomsports.com. Until next time, everybody, as we always say, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
Avoid them zombies.
Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy, know the blueprint. Yo, every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip hop scholars, tip stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jack. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports. www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.